Why, hello there, folks, and welcome to another round of Modern. It's Dylan from Alternate Universes, and on the left we have Harley Smale playing Indomitable Creativity, and on the right we have Adam Sitzes playing Hardened Scales, baby. That deck is sick. It's a deck that I really want to like pick up the pieces for, and I don't know. I've been like dragging my feet for like a year now, which is funny because Scales is like super cheap, or at least like the card Hardened Scales is, because that Double Masters reprint really brought it down in price. Which is like a pretty okay place for it to be, you know? I mean, I'm pulling up Goldfish right now, like looking at the price of the deck. I'm assuming I can find it on Goldfish. Especially now that, like, yeah, there it is. It's only $700, which isn't that awful for a modern deck. Yeah, considering, like, the other thing I just don't want to buy is Inkmoth Nexus. I just never want to buy that card. I like refuse to buy that card. I don't know, man. I don't want to do it. I don't want an Inkmoth Nexus. There's multiple times where I was like, man, I'd really like Hammer, but then I wouldn't buy it. I just couldn't justify owning the card. I don't know why. Most of my modern collection can like jump over to other things or other decks. Hardened Scales goes in like 2 decks. That's it. No Hardened Scales. Inkmoth Nexus goes in 2 decks. 3 if you count Infect, but I don't want to play actual Infect. I'm not one of those players who are like, no, don't use the mechanic. Blah, 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 blah. I don't know, man. Doesn't seem like it'd be a fun time for me. The only Infect kills I want to do is by either Arcbound Ravager making something huge or, you know, blowing stuff up with a hammer. Now, if you don't know what Hardened Scales does, Hardened Scales is a 1 mana enchantment, 1 green. If one or more +1/+1 counters would be put on a creature you control, that many +1, that many +1/1/1 counters are put on it instead. Very good in combination with cards like Arcbound Ravager that say sacrifice an artifact, put a +1/1 counter on Arcbound Ravager, modular 1, because all the modular creatures. If I'm remembering modular correctly, when the creature is put into a graveyard, you may put its 1/1 counters on target artifact creature, so you just get to like, sack like your Arcbound workers and stuff, and move the counters around and make something really big. Very good with Walking Ballista just to kill people, and you go pew, 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 pew. That is, in fact, the legal term and definition of how Walking Ballista kills people. Right. And then Indomitable Creativity is like a deck that has been around for a little bit now. Now, it's funny that like I'm explaining Hardened Scales when Hardened Scales is a deck that's been around for a while. It was pretty good, actually, for a good amount of time with like Mox Opal when that was legal. And then Luris. There was a really good version. Maybe not really good. There's a cool version of the deck that existed when Luris was legal. One of my favorite Magic streamers or MTGO streamers of all time with like one of the best like names ever is a guy named what was it? It was two robots in a trench coat, 2 bots in a trench coat, and all they did was stream Hardened Scales. But it kind of fell off a little bit after the Luris ban. The relevancy of the deck just kind of dropped in stock, and that's why need a little bit of a refresher course potentially on some things. Understandable. There's an Ancient Stirrings. Grabbing a Beseju, then Beseju being land for turn. But Indomitable Creativity is like one of the 4 best decks in Modern and has been since it like popped up last year. I want to say it was about this time last year. I feel it was SCG Baltimore. It was when it got like really got the steam going, the ball rolling. Whatever when Ross Merriam won Indomitable with not Creativity. Jeskai Breach. I feel like that's the event where creativity started to pop up a lot. Or it was like the event right beforehand. I remember playing one in Swiss in the team event and being like, damn, this deck is really good. And then like 2 weeks later, seeing it all over the place. If you don't know how it works, though, Indomitable Creativity is a X and 3 red spell. Where X, you pay mana into it, obviously. But for the effect, for the X, you target X artifacts or creatures, and then whoever controls those artifacts or creatures reveals cards on top of their deck until they find artifacts and creatures or creatures equal to the number of things that you pop. So if X equals 1, you find one thing. X equals 2, 2 things. Now, the Indomitable Creativity deck that is going around Modern is primarily only playing Archon of Cruelty as the only creature in the deck. Some decks play Primeval Titan, some play other stuff. But 9 out of 10 times, if someone's like doing creativity things against you, they're doing Archon of Cruelty right now. Maybe some stuff on the sideboard. I don't know if they're still on the Archon, or not the Archon, the Sayer's Emissary plan at all, or Emrakul, the Eon Storm. But those are things that your opponent can board in against you as alternative threats to Archon. You gotta diversify, that way you don't get Unmoored Ego, they go Archon of Cruelty, and you go, shit, I have no way to win the game now besides beat down with Goblin Shaman. Or like Ren Looping with Retrace. Yeah, I feel like the deck has just been consistently very good. Especially since the banning of Yorion. Not that that deck was weak to the Yorion stuff. Is Harley dead here? No? Not quite. He might be dead on the untap. I know, he's a bolt for the Ravager. Okay. It's not great. This counter's going to move over to the Ozolith.
I think I'm just dead, right? I'm
Going to get 4 Thopters out of it from the Hangerback Walker dying.
I have a Ravager, so you're dead.
And there's an Arcbound Ravager. He's going to be able to move all the counters onto the Inkpuff Nexus.
Oh, and you have Ravager. Oh, that's fine.
And yep, that is going to be game 1 because Harley realizing that he's just dead on board with the shenanery of moving counters onto an Inkmuff Nexus and making it huge. We're in game 2. Adam took game 1. Harley resolving some mulligans, playing a Wooded Foothills. As I was saying, yeah, I think Indomitable Creativity has just been one of the 4 best decks in the format. There's 3 decks that have just been consistently good throughout the entirety of our like Modern Horizons 2 meta, and that's Murktide, Rhinos, and Hammer. They've faded off intermittently besides Murktide. Murktide has just consistently been the most played deck in the format and has just kind of stayed that. Like if you load up Goldfish at like any given point over the last like year and a half, I'm pretty sure Murktide is either the number 1 most represented deck or the number 2. Okay. The only thing I really feel like was contentious with it is when Lurrus was legal and everyone was playing Grixis Death Shadow, but that's just because people really love Grixis Death Shadow. And Lurrus was a fun card to play. We gets Destroyed Evil from Dominar United. I say that very confidently as if I knew what that card was before Harley cast it. I did not.
It's my favorite standard card.
But Harley said it so confidently that, like, Adam and I should know this card. And I was like, yeah. We just type into TCG player, Destroy Evil. Oh, okay, cool. I've seen this card before. Here's a Hangerback Walker. And a Welding Jar. We're going to regenerate. Why am I, like, literally thinking of buying all the pieces for this deck right now? I like weird combo decks. I feel like Hardened Scales would scratch the combo itch in my brain. Combo player itch. I come from Yu-Gi-Oh! Well, I haven't played Yu-Gi-Oh! In God knows how long. It's been 6 years probably at this point. But I used to play Yu-Gi-Oh! So I'm very familiar with combo decks and very much big fan of them. Hangerback Walker getting pinged here, replacing itself with a Thopter token. Hangerback, if you are unfamiliar, it enters the battlefield with X/1/1 counters on it, and then when it dies, you create a 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature token with flying for each +1/+1 counter on Hangerback Walker. And then you can pay a mana, tap it, put a 1/1 counter on Hangerback. I feel like for a while, Hangerback Walker was a really freaking expensive card. I could be wrong, but I feel like I just, for some reason, remember this card being a shit ton of money. Like, a ton of money. When I worked at AU the first time. Back in 2017? I was in college. Sometime. In yesteryears. But, yeah, I feel like I just remember that card being very expensive. I could also just be confusing it with Arcbound Ravagers. who has historically been pretty pricey. I think this is Ravager at its like all-time low. I don't know if it got like a secret layer printing or if it's because again the deck has just kind of not fallen into obscurity, but definitely gotten cheaper. And time to look up Arcbound Ravager.
Go.
No, I didn't really get anything that crazy looking. I have like a kink in my shoulder blade right now. Not loving it. Damn, why is the cool art only foil? Alright, Arcbound Ravager actually has some pretty dope arts, like across the board. I'm pretty here for this.
I'll get to search.
Yeah.
How much would I have to buy that I don't already have? Alright, let me stop shopping for a deck while watching the deck on camera. There's a Zabaz Glimmer Wisp. Card was bugged on TCG Player for a little bit there, but Zabaz from Modern Horizons 2. 1 mana legendary artifact creature insects, got modular 1, and if a modular triggered ability would put one or more +1/+1 counters on a creature you control, put that many +1/+1 counters on it instead. Then it has activated abilities for red and white that I don't really... Well, no, you can activate the white ability. Because the deck plays like Gemstone Caverns, and Gemstone Caverns is $65 right now. Jesus. Sorry. I know Adam is playing copies of Horizon Canopy in his deck. This list I'm looking at on TCG on Goldfish does not have it, but top 4 Richmond.
Thinking with the big Baz on the stack.
Zabaz is Hardened Scales basically number 3, though there is a new Ozolith that actually makes it like Hardened Scales number 3. Ozolith the Shattered Spire. If one or more 1/1 counters would be put on an artifact or creature you control, that many +1/+1 counters are put on it instead. And then the actual Ozolith, which we talked a little bit about earlier, when a creature you control leaves the battlefield, if it had counters on it, put those counters onto Ozolith. And at the beginning of the combat on your turn, if Ozolith has counters on it, you may move all counters from the Ozolith onto target creature. Which is why he could make the Inkmoth Nexus really big and just swing in for Infect, besides the Arcbound Ravager effect too. Or in conjunction with the Arcbound Ravager effect. We were just jamming some stuff in Ren at 6. Ooh. The dwarf jumping valiantly in front of the Arcbound Ravager. Sock is on backwards or inside out.
Run takes 1.
Ren takes a point of damage. Arcbound goes to a 2/2.
Come on.
So they're just chilling. No, just chilling.
I draw land so I can cast it for 1. I think the only thing I don't want to buy in this deck, honest to God, is the Inkmoth Nexus. I keep going back to the list, going, well, I mean, I could. I own a lot of this. And there's the cool Hardened Scales art now with the dinosaur.
Meltdown?
Oh, that's why. Hardened Scales also was in a commander deck.
Sure, artifacts 3 less.
There's like actually a good amount of printings in this card now. Brotherhood then getting cast here, basically as Meltdown. Card from the Brothers War, very good sideboard card. It isn't exactly Meltdown, but it does the best impression of Meltdown we'll probably see in Modern ever. This destroys all artifacts of mana value 3 or less, which against Hardened Scales is going to be Meltdown. And then, like, its other effect, because it's a modular thing, so you can choose which one you want it to do. The deal 3 damage to each creature and Planeswalker, also pretty good in certain matchups. To get the board white people. And we're going to regenerate the 5/5 Arcbound.
Play.
You can play Wood of Foothills as a land for turn, passes the turn. we'll be able to turn that Foothills into a copy of a dwarf token. Does have creativity in hand. That's pretty good. In fact, if Ren survives the turn, he'll be able to fetch, make a dwarf token, pick up the fetch, play it again, and then make another dwarf token. Going for 2 Archons of Cruelty, if that's the case. But Ren is going to bite the dust. I forgot to change the audio file for this week. Because I try to make it easier on myself and be able to track down the files in case something goes wrong. And last week I had named it Dylan Has Not Died because of I was sick and dying the week before. And I forgot to make a funny name this time. I'm disappointed in myself. There's a fetch. Going to make 2 dwarf tokens. Why have Ren at 6 when you can just have the land in hand? 2 dwarves. There are 3 cowboys. We're going to activate it, or cast Indomitable Creativity. X equals 2. This will put 2 Archons of Cruelty into play. Adam, I think, going to respond by animating the Ink Moth Nexus. Ink Moth is not as bad price-wise as it used to be. So the version that I want is still like $40. Because the Tattoo Secret Lair is like premier. Gorgeous stuff. Archon 1 has hit the board. Archon 2 getting flipped over eventually. Every time people play decks like this, this or the Cascade decks, I always want to make a dumb joke. Like, well, folks, I don't need to post a deck list in the description anymore because you just saw the entire thing. And obviously, I try not to make that joke, and then I include the deck description in the deck list in the description because I appreciate you.
That's like a billion, though. When I'm at 7 is a billion.
I forgot to mention, this is round 3 of our weekly Modern tournament. If you're wondering what happened to round 1, the streak of round 1 deciding to die on me has continued, which is really unfortunate.
Yeah, we can resolve the first one.
The first 2 weeks, the internet just like dropped and it was just super choppy. So like, we have footage of it. I didn't want to use it because I don't want you to like sit there and watch a slideshow and hear my voice. That sounds like an awful time.
And you're at 14.
And then
I'm at 19.
Almost never.
this week, the computer just decided to die at the end of game 1. But the problem is the footage got corrupted because there was no endpoint to the recording. The computer just died, which will corrupt the file. So I couldn't use it, which is, again, very upsetting. It was a really interesting round. It was Dimir Death Shadow versus the Timeless Lotus deck.
How much is that?
And I feel like that deck is just, like, unlucky on camera now. We had the Rakdos Scam matchup where, like, it just Scam did the Scam thing 2 games in a row, and then now the computer just decided that it wants to die.
Unless you have, like,
Right. 2 Archons. That is a 8/8 Ink Buff
Okay.
Nexus. Adam realizing that he will not be able to win the game through double Archon here. Just scoops it up. We're going to game 3. There's a Ink Moth into a Hardened Scales.
It's a drum.
Go.
That's not right.
Come on.
That is a Springleaf drum.
My monocolor.
I was going to make a joke about
Phone would fall
Hammer.
from these games of life.
and the HA of Hammer in my brain just turned Springleaf drum into Hardened Scales, which is not correct. It's, you know, cast Ornithopter, tap it, Cigar Aid, present turn 2 lethal. Alright, Zaba's here. There comes the new Ozolith, the Shattered Spire. Hold on. Harley led on a Dwarven Mine, not the place you want to be at.
Oh, I wonder if I should do that.
Does also have a Beseju in hand. And
Sorry,
there's
on
a
my
chance
turn, I
he
wanna
has to
vote
use
the
it as
idiot.
mana once again.
Like, there's only so many
Horizon Canopy here, coming out.
moments when I have like a fucking second.
2 mana, Patchwork Automaton. This is a card that I like a lot. It's from Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. It has Ward 2 on it, and then it is it a cast trigger for Automaton, or is it an enter the battlefield trigger? I think it's a cast
But when he
trigger.
also gets two.
Either way, I'm pretty sure it's a cast trigger. When you cast an artifact spell, put a +1/+1 counter on Patchwork Automaton. It gets really big really quickly. It's like a mini Kappa Cannoneer. Cap is when they enter the battlefield, because it works off construct tokens. This one is the cast trigger, yeah.
Thanks. Will that kill me? Is it a Falcon Ballista?
Hangerback Walker.
Play the land.
I actually really like the deck is playing Patchwork Automaton. That's like a cute interaction between the...
Ballista and my deck. We have an offer. I don't think we're dead because you also would need Rapture. You have 4 mana, so you can just rip one or the other. Patchwork Automaton is fucking massive. I can just like do that. Meltdown.
Alright, Brotherhood then. Getting cast for Meltdown here.
Before I take too much random damage. Go ahead.
In comes 2 Thopter tokens.
Like not in a good shape because I have to play my Beseju again.
Alright, Inkmoth
17
and
and
2
1.
Thopters attacking in here.
Yep.
We'll put Harley to 17. I did miss a fetch here. That's why he's at 17. I'm pretty sure infect damage is dealt. Only use poison counters.
Fable.
If I remember correctly.
Tapland.
Could be very wrong. Also, every time I have anything infect related on the camera that's not a lethal shot, I always forget that I have not built a real way for infect to be represented on the camera. So we have 1 infect, 17 damage. Or 17 life.
Automaton's so good.
Felt like the best way to do it.
Go.
2 infect, 14. But I think it's 15 actually. Yeah.
15. Two of these. I don't think this is going to be a hard cast or Archon game. Trigger.
I'll take it.
Find a dwarf, you sacrifice 2 Thopters, but I'm pretty well insulated and I get to keep a goblin, which is cool.
Fable at 2.
14 and 2.
Make it a dwarf. We'll be able to X equals 2 here, right? 3, 4, yeah. He just has to target the shaman token. Or no, he doesn't. I'm dumb. Whew. Alright, gonna flip here. We know there's an Archon in the graveyard because it was discarded to the Fable trigger.
Oh, I left them in the deck. It's not looking good. I don't remember how I sideboarded. I might only have 2. Yeah, I voted 1 out. Okay, target that. Sure.
Right. Orvar, the all form? Yeah, Orvar. Anyways, gonna make a copy. When it gets discarded, makes a copy of the Archon Cruelty.
Well, I gotta
And then
draw.
Adam will then get an Archon trigger.
I gotta lose my life. And then you're gonna gain.
I punched the microphone.
But is it-
Harley
we're
only
gonna
getting one
force
copy of
it.
Archon Cruelty here, as he had boarded out boarded out the other one, and one or boarded out the third copy, and the one was in the graveyard already. As I punched the microphone again, Jesus Christ, Dylan.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, got a copy token coming from Harley there. Look at that, champion of a person has the tokens for his opponent.
Turn this on.
All right, animate think off, attacks in, gotta get triggers here.
23. I'm at 11.
Big life total change. Harley going to 3 in fact.
8.
I was at 20. I'm at 20.
He's gaining 3.
Yeah, so we had a wash last time. I was at 17, so I gained 3.
Oh, you were
and
at
lost
17?
3. Yeah.
Why were you 17?
I activated Canopy once, and you hit me once with your
Okay. Then you're at 20 or whatever. Then I'm gonna go to.
I think there's a discrepancy on Adam's life total here that they're figuring out.
So I'm gonna go 3 and 3.
draw
No,
off this.
Yeah, it's fine.
Play Saga.
It's fine.
Urza Saga, land for turn.
But fine. I mean, nothing.
Fable flipping. Does have a copy of Destroy Evil. Probably going to pop the Archon here.
So it's gonna be Beseiju
So Sage is the Saga. Okay.
Destroy Evil the copy.
Destroy Evil's the copy. And just has to hope that Adam doesn't have artifacts to cast, I guess that's the plan. Well, he could chomp with the Fable. Or the reflection of Kiki Jiki.
Think you play better off the top?
Sometimes.
Yeah, that's good.
Alright, Ozlo's coming out here. Cast trigger there.
We're at 3, right?
Yeah.
Right there.
Going to activate, put 2 things on there, and that's going to be the game. As the Thopter will get pretty big. So Adam is going to take it 2-1 with Hardened Scales over Harley Smell and Creativity. Thank you for watching, folks, and have a great rest of your day.